Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. I'm back. Gonna be back. So tell you what, so we knew coming into these, really the last couple days, the next couple days, it was going to be a busy time, believe it or not, on the college basketball calendar, because with the NBA draft combine done, we're starting to get some clarification on who is coming back to the sport and who isn't, kind of those classic stay or go decisions. Bring it up. We've been through all the names over the last couple days, really the last couple weeks, but there was one player that, frankly, I don't think we talked about enough in terms of an important, significant stay or go decision. That player is Karter Knox, forward, played at Arkansas last year as a freshman. Stats won't blow you away, and we're going to explain why in a second. But over the last probably dozen games of the season, Karter Knox was, frankly, one of the best players in the SEC. Bring it up because he put his name in the draft right around the deadline to enter, which was mid-April, and went through the process, was at the combine, had a good but probably not great week. And so since then, we've been kind of on Karter Knox watch. Could he actually return? What would it mean for Arkansas, etc.? Well, I bring it up because just moments ago, the piece of news that every Arkansas fan was waiting for became official as Karter Knox, 6'6" sophomore, soon to be sophomore, officially announces he is coming back to Arkansas for his sophomore year. This is huge. This is big in the SEC title picture, the national title picture. Yes, I believe that. And with it, I got just two things to say. One, yes, I believe Arkansas is the favorite going into next year in the SEC. The SEC favorites, a legitimate top 10 team nationally. And because of it, with the return of Karter Knox, I just got one question for you, baby. Can anything stop the big pig invasion? Can anything? I don't know if anything can next year. Big pig invasion. Arkansas, I believe, will be the number one team in the SEC. Let's break it down. Let's discuss. By the way, if you like the shirt, you can get it at AaronTorresOnline.com/merchandise. Should mention, by the way, we're stuck on back orders. We should get them out this week for those of you who have already ordered. With that said, let's go ahead and dive into this decision because, first of all, I already know what's going to come. I can predict what the comments are going to say before I even hit publish on this video, okay? The comments, they're going to be so obvious. Oh, Torres, you're just gassing up this kid because he plays for Calipari and you blah, 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 blah. We already know what people are going to say. And here's what I would say. If you don't think this is important, I'm not saying it's the most important decision at the NBA draft deadline, but it's in the short conversation. And if you believe I'm just doing this to gas somebody up, I hate to say it, casual, non-ball knower, sorry, not sorry, it's the truth. Because here is the thing about Karter Knox. If you actually pay attention, if you actually watch the games, if you're smart and listen to this show, which you should be doing, you would know that, as I said, over the last probably month of the season, Karter Knox was not only one of the best freshmen in all of college basketball, he was actually one of the best players in the SEC. So remember, this year, the SEC was the toughest conference in college basketball, okay? Bar none, maybe the best conference ever. What was it? What did it end up being? 14 NCAA tournament teams? I can't even remember. I think it was 14 NCAA tournament teams, okay? And so listen, if you look at Karter Knox's stats, 8.5 points per game, it doesn't blow you away. You're not thinking that, oh, this guy is whatever. Well, again, in the toughest conference ever, here is what he did over the final month of the season. From February 15th on, so basically after Valentine's Day, he is a kid that averaged close to 12 points per game, which doesn't set the world on fire. But remember, a freshman in the toughest conference in college basketball. And then keep in mind this, over Arkansas's final 4 games. So keep in mind, we are talking about a situation where they are playing Ole Miss in the SEC tournament, which was a Sweet 16 team, playing Kansas, preseason number 1 team in the country, playing St. John's, Big East regular season champ, Big East tournament champ, and also playing Texas Tech in the Sweet 16. Karter Knox averaged 15 points per game, about 5 rebounds per game, 20 points in that loss to Texas Tech, 14 in against Ole Miss in the SEC tournament. Like I said, one of the youngest players in the SEC, played as well as anybody, especially late, and that is why I am so excited for what he could potentially bring to the season ahead. Beyond that, I think it's important to know, I think first of all, just simple math will tell you, I think a second year in college basketball, he is going to elevate his game, just more comfortable, more whatever. But here's the other thing. It's not like he's coming back alone, right? And this is the reason I've been so excited about Arkansas. Frankly, I hate to say this because this is going to sound almost negative, but since the day their season ended, I remember you lose to Texas Tech in the Sweet 16. Sorry to open up old wounds. But I remember doing a segment the next day that was like, if you actually look at who could potentially be back, this team should be better in 25, 26 than they were in 2024, 2025. And so fast forward, basically everything I said in that video, the day the season ended, has come true. You look at who could potentially come back. Now, listen, obviously you're going to lose Nelly Davis. You're going to lose Jonas Adu, okay? Big Z leaves, but frankly, I don't even know if it was a mutual decision. I don't think he was somebody that the staff particularly wanted back. No disrespect. Great player. I think he'll be good at Illinois. But there were 4 players that could come back, and I think all of them had, I know all of them had options if they wanted to look other places. Instead, they're all coming back. Now, we've talked about all these guys. I am not going to spend too much time breaking down their games because we have plenty of time. But again, we're talking about a group that includes DJ Wagner. I know everyone's got DJ Wagner takes, but here's the bottom line. 11.5 points, almost 4 assists per game. And again, a player who played much better late. Look at the biggest games of the season, 24 points in that SEC, in that basically a clinched an NCAA tournament berth, final game of the regular season. 13-6 in the SEC tournament against South Carolina. 14-6 and 2 steals against Kansas in the opening round of the NCAA tournament. So another player that played his best basketball late. And I believe, listen, veteran point guard in the SEC. You cannot undersell the value of that. Beyond him, Trevin Brazile. I think he was maybe the X factor with the entire season kind of getting on track in late February into March. Was great down the stretch. We've talked about it. 11-12 in the opening round of the NCAA tournament against Kansas. Outside of that game, how about the fact that he had 15-11 in the SEC tournament against Ole Miss? He had 8-8 in a game against St. John's in which he was in foul trouble. Played his best basketball late in the season, and then Billy Richmond, worth noting, played his best basketball too, including being the leading scorer against St. John's. So don't tell me they don't bring back anybody. They bring back 4 key pieces of a team that got to the Sweet 16. They add 2 more pieces out of the portal, Nick Pringle, Malik Ewan. Again, everyone's going to say, oh, how good are those guys? You don't need them to be stars. You need them to play very specific roles on this team in the front court, big and physical. That's exactly what they're going to provide. And then the freshman class, 2 McDonald's All-Americans, Malik Thomas and Darius Acuff. I think when it's all said and done, Darius Acuff might be the best player on the team when it's all said and done, but I think Karter Knox is in that conversation. And then also, I think 2 important freshmen from a role player perspective. Kareem Rattal, I don't think I did a good enough job explaining his value the other day when we talk about some of Coach Cal's comments from his road show over the last couple of days. We'll talk about those in a minute. And then Isaiah Sealy, the kind of kid from the state, going to play a role. It might not be huge. That's 10 dudes you can go to war with every single night. And so with it, you factor in, and I think this is the important part because everyone tells me, oh, Torres, how good is this guy? How good is that guy? Well, you also have to factor in who everybody else is returning and who everybody else isn't. And so look across the SEC. Auburn lost basically everybody. Now, listen, obviously with them, they did a great job in the portal, headlined by Keyshawn Murphy from Mississippi State, Keyshawn Hall from UCF, but they are replacing a ton of production. Alabama's replacing a ton of production. Florida, yes, they've been successful in the portal, replacing a ton of production. Tennessee replacing a ton of production. Ole Miss replacing basically everybody. And so, yeah, there are teams that are returning key players, most notably Kentucky, but the depth of talent and the depth of returning experience in this league just isn't what it was a year ago. And so, again, everyone wants to sit there and say, oh, Torres, you're overhyping Arkansas. Well, tell me who's definitively better on paper. I don't see very many teams. And again, listen, I'm not saying that I'm right. What I am saying is I look at rosters all day, every day this time of year. And what you can't tell me is there's very many teams that return more experience in the SEC than Arkansas. As a matter of fact, there frankly just flat out aren't any. And so you factor it all in. I like this team. I think the most interesting thing, and this is something we discussed a few days back on the Aaron Torres pod, is Coach Cal Dunn. Now, he said on his road show the other day, he said, look, we're not trying to really add big pieces. Sometimes less is more. And, this was before Karter Knox came back, but he insinuated if Karter Knox comes back, we're largely done. Have kind of poked around on this. Obviously, first of all, there aren't a ton of big names left. So I think that's the first key thing to note. It's not like there's, 30 guys left in the portal that can change your season. I think the only one that really stands out to me as a player that could be realistic at Arkansas is Jameer Watkins. He, of course, is the forward. He's a wing. I think he's listed as a guard, but he's 6'7", forward, whatever. Played at Florida State the last 2 years. Really talented player. I don't know how much of this is on him, but hasn't really contributed to much winning. But the counter to that is he also averaged 18.5 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, shot 32% this year from three, but has shot 34% the previous 2 years. I think he's the only one that I could really see Arkansas that's kind of a marquee guy really making a strong push for, kind of adds more scoring on the wing. You have plenty in the backcourt with Wagner, Acuff, and Malik Thomas. I said the other day I wouldn't mind them adding just a veteran guard that's comfortable playing 8 minutes a game once you get to SEC play, just to have an extra ball handler if something, God forbid, happens to DJ Wagner, he gets in foul trouble, whatever. But outside of that, I think they're largely set in the backcourt. And I think, listen, there's conversations about, do you add one more body in the front court? But again, I think you have the two transfers. You have Trevin Brazil and you have Kareem Rattal. I don't know how much more you really need there if you believe Kareem Rattal is a guy that can at least play some minutes for you throughout the season. So really the wing is the only spot that, in my opinion, you could even think about adding anybody. Jameer Watkins would be the name there. Now, the thing with him, going to be very coveted with whatever he decides. And so that's a kid that, North Carolina desperately needs another guy. Jameer Watkins, you would think would be, I know, is at the top of their list if he comes back. Now, North Carolina hasn't been great in the portal, but whatever. North Carolina would need a guy. Duke, I think there's a possibility Duke needs another guy. And so Jameer Watkins is a guy that I think, realistically, I think Arkansas would like. But one thing with Cal, it's funny, right? In this portal era, the thing that I've kind of found interesting, he's not afraid to move off of a guy if the money just gets crazy. If he just says, look, we like you, but not at that number. We're going to go in a different direction. And I think the Jameer Watkins bidding could get interesting. Outside of that, we'll see if he adds, I don't think it would be anybody of note because you already have 10, but could you add an 11th guy that's strictly a three-point shooter, an 11th guy who's strictly a rim protector, an 11th guy who's strictly a ball handler? I think it's possible. But what I will say is with Karter Knox back, I'm sorry, I really like this team. I just do. And I think they have a chance to be really, really, really special. If you enjoyed this video, do me a quick favor. Make sure you're subscribed to the Aaron Torres Pod YouTube channel. I promised you. Excuse me, I was about to cough. In the college football season, I promised you, in the college basketball season, I said, look, we're not the kind of show that stops doing content just because the season's over. And in many ways, April and May have become as busy as February and March, if not more busy. So make sure you're subscribed. We'll start kind of transitioning to college football over the next couple weeks and next couple months. But right now, we're full speed ahead until these rosters get finalized. Make sure you're listening on the Aaron Torres Pod, Apple, Spotify. And oh, by the way, never forget that Big Pig Invasion tee is available at AaronTorresOnline.com/merchandise. AaronTorresOnline.com/merchandise.